Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera to everybody, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ariffatri bin Mohammad from University Teknologi Mara Dungun campus. Today, I would like to present on my study related to the organizational change during the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic and the impose of Movement Control Order (MCO), a case study in Intan Eastern Region campus. I'm from Faculty of Business and Management, and my team include yang berbahagia Dr. Wan Asri bin Wan Abdul Aziz. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to continue my presentation with explaining the table of content. Firstly, I will talk about the introduction of my study. Then I'll continue with the objective and problem statements of the study. I will also explain about methodology used in conducting the study, and then continue with findings, what I get and discovered from the study, and finally, I'll talk about the recommendation and conclusion from my study. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go straight to the objective of this study. The first objective is to look and analyze on the organizational change in Intan Eastern Region campus INTIM in 2020 during Movement Control Order or MCO resulted from the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. Number two is to look into how INTIM strived to cope up with the changes and regard the changes as new norms. The problem statements for these studies are COVID-19 itself that has resulted on many organizations to face challenges and issues in maintaining customers as well as business suppliers in order to continue their business. Number two, since the COVID-19 pandemic is actually very serious, many governments have imposed MCO or Movement Control Order to require organization to cease operation temporarily to cope up with the COVID-19 outbreak. Ladies and gentlemen, the methodology for this study is based on the article on organizational change in Ajinomoto case that was presented in AFEE 2014 Zone 1 Conference, University of Bridgeport, USA. And the article is written based on that. And we follow directly what is the category being used in the article and adapt with what is happening based on the COVID-19 pandemic in INTIM, how the organization changed in INTIM during the pandemic of COVID-19 outbreak due to MCO imposed. So here, the organizational change that we're referring to refer to the factors behind the change, what is the cause of the change in INTIM's training operations, and then the change force, what should actually has forced INTIM to cope up with the change, and then the resistance to change that happened, the challenges that INTIM face in order to ensure that the change that they made can be implemented, and then the organization change managing approach, how INTIM use what type of approach in order to manage the change, in order to ensure that the changes are really relevant to the operations and can be effectively implemented. And then lastly, the area of changes, what is actually the change involved, which area that has involved for the change. Ladies and gentlemen, the finding of my studies come from the factors that behind changes forces, resistance to change, and also the organizational change managing approach as well as the area of change. What we can see from the factors behind changes even covers COVID-19 itself and also the movement control order that restrict the movement of the public at the end, resulting on the restriction of public gathering that resulted on the training program organized by India could not be operated as normal. especially using the physical interaction. Change force refer to external and internal. The first one, of course, COVID-19 pandemic, and then the second one, the movement control order (MCO), and then last one, the changes in government policies that result in changes in intern's policy itself or in team. And internal changes for refer to the changes in internal policy due to changes in government policies, and then requirement to satisfy training needs because it's already part of the KPI of intern to fulfill the needs of the government servant to fulfill their training requirement each year, and then online training and course delivery, how to provide on training using online based on what been practiced by other training institutions in Malaysia, so that how to compete with them, how in team must force itself to compete in order to make it relevant in the training industry. Resistance to change involve individual and organizational resistance to change. Individual resistance to change refer to the readiness of the either from in-team staff to the in-team training participant for the changes of training delivery system from manual face-to-face interaction to online system. And then the organizational resistance to change refer to the accepting issues by the in-team staff and also in-team training participant on the new method of teaching, which is online teaching, and then the preferences among them, which is they prefer to for in face-to-face or physical interaction on classes rather than online classes due to the effectiveness level, which they feel is less when they use online teaching. In the organization change management approach, we use Kotter 8 steps model. An area of change refer to process change, where the whole process of a training program change from manual into online, especially for the registration of the training participants. And then cost change refer to the change in cost because previously we have to print all the documents, we need to require a lot of ink and also brochures, and we will have to print brochures, timetable, but now we change the method to online using the QR code for the participant to scan for to get the training brochures and training timetable. And also we sometimes share the Google Drive the information through Google Drive link. And then there also culture change from manual to online system, and at the same time the way the delivery of the training has changed from physical interaction to online interaction. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue with a further finding which we use under the organization change management approach, in which our team have used Kotter's 8 steps change model. Here it involves creating the climate for change, which covers great urgency, refers to the how COVID-19 and MCO reflects on the training operation that create urgency for the training operation in intent to change. And then they form a powerful coalition. This refers to the coalition between training administrators and corporate team to promote new training strategies, refer to online training promotion and implementation. And then create a vision of change, refer to the provide schedule online training for all the training program or session involved, so that to ensure that the training program successful delivered. And then engaging and enabling the organization refer to the communicate the vision. Here, one-to-one consultant and Q&A session on online learning. Number two, empower action refers to in-team employees and other agencies involvement in ensuring that the newly approach of training program, which is online training program, is successfully implemented. And then create quick wins refer to announcing successful stories and status of training participants, evaluation score for each training session monthly, so that people will be more confident to participate in the online training program. And lastly, implementing and sustaining for change refer to build on the change, which covered by providing continuous internal online training education session CTE for familiarization among all the users and stakeholders on the newly training approach, and then make it stick. Prefer to provide or install proper fittings and instruments to support changes, for example, webcam, hybrid session on the mix of online and physical interaction, subscription to Zoom and Google Meets. So with that those are the findings based on the Kotter's 8 steps change model. Ladies and gentlemen, I have talked about the introduction for the study, the objective, the problem statement, methodology used, and also findings. And now let's go straight to the recommendation and conclusion for the study. Number one, it is advisable for the study to be done quantitatively among online training participants to identify the level of satisfaction among participants when they enroll into the online training session instead of the standard physical interaction or classroom session. Number two, a quantitative study among in-team trainers and lecturers must be conducted to identify the effectiveness of application of online training method, either via Zoom or maybe via Google Meet. And the conclusion for the study, COVID-19 and pandemic encourages organizations to explore and adapt with changes in environment and method of application, especially for training. And then number two, it is not about the facing of the challenges, but it is about the managing the challenges and adjusted to sustain the operation. So with that, that's all my presentation. Thank you.